So for me, I absolutely adore these types of chapters. Stuff to not only recontextualize the entirety of the story or for a specific character, but there's a lot of emotion behind it. It somewhat tunnels itself into giving new meaning and better understanding towards a mental state or an emotion behind that said person. In this case, it's obviously Denji. With the beginning of the story and everything we've had up to this point, it's been very specific. Coming from one point of life, having absolutely nothing, struggling to survive, struggling to live, alongside the only person that he would consider a close friend, which was Pochita, but still having a very minimalistic percentage of happiness, something that he was still okay with. When Pochita was ripped away from him and he experienced this pretty massive hardship for the first time that was confrontational within himself. Regardless of the difficult life he's lived up to that point just trying to survive, the biggest thing that became a hurdle for him was the death of Pochita, his only friend. When you shift from that into a progressive lifestyle, gaining new friends, learning about the world, pretty much experiencing things at a normal level, but in comparison to what he was previously, a much more beneficial level. He was happier, he was emotionally stable, he was connected with a lot of different things and individuals. So a lot of these elements would build up inside of him and it becomes normal. You start to create a complacent situation or a lifestyle, I should say, that is great to see Denji within. It's something that I believe he's always deserved. But something that's always lingered, obviously, is his emotional development or growth for his character. He's very stunted as an individual, and I can never put my finger on why throughout the entirety of Chainsaw Man. Within a lot of narratives, a lot of the stuntage comes from childhood experiences or trauma. It genuinely stops you from developing as an individual and maturing the more you age. So for Denji's age, where he sits currently, his mindset to a lot of different things, his intelligence, his emotional capabilities, everything is severely far behind, almost like it's stuck behind him being a child. And it's been teased a lot of different times with that specific door and a child representation of Denji being connected to that door. What that door led to, what it was holding inside, what it was pretty much becoming a barrier for emotions, and was most likely the stunt or trauma that stopped Denji from growing like a normal human being, even though he was living quite a dark lifestyle, would be revealed within this chapter. Very naturally. There's nothing necessarily over the top within this chapter. It's very minimalistic. It's very soothing and kind of flows out rather eerily, if anything. It's not thrown in your face. It's not forced down your throat. It's nice. In saying that it's nice, it's more so just from the perspective of it's really great that we're finally getting this type of stuff, finally understanding Denji a little bit further to his core and what he was trying to hold back and the trauma that he experienced as a child, getting the context for that. And especially after last week's chapter, especially after the Aki situation, you see where it starts to all lead to. You see where the dots align, and one of the most consistent things within all of these good points suddenly disappearing is Makima. Now, I absolutely love Makima as a character. I think she is incredible within Chainsaw Man, the way she's utilized, the absolute terror that she brings across, and just the uneasiness that she portrays. Every chapter that she is in from the beginning of the story, and especially from this point forward, embodies that eerie nature. It makes you feel uneasy. You don't really know what to expect when she is within a chapter, or if she's communicating with characters. On one hand, she could be extremely nice. On the other hand, she could be obliterating people with absolute ease. There's no in between. Having that imbalance with her character and how scary she truly is, how emotionally disconnected she is from everything, makes her out to be an anomaly, which is the reason why I love her character. You just do not know what she is going to do, yet she is so calm and methodical and malicious about the whole situation. It's almost like you can never truly understand what she's thinking. You never see her break that confidence, or even at least break the character that she is playing, if she is playing one. But I highly doubt she is. It seems like this is her true nature, someone very sick and twisted and malicious to do anything in her power to get whatever she wants. And this whole situation that's tunneling back to a specific point is exactly what she wants. She wants to create a happy lifestyle for Denji, giving him all of these different things, giving him Agi, giving him power, giving him money, food, stuff that he hasn't experienced before, and then going through the effort to bring it all down in the most horrific way possible. possible, but not in a way that it's blamed on Makima, but in a way that Denji recognizes that it is his own fault, that he would blame himself and emotionally open up and traumatize himself to potentially give in to Makima, to make it seem like she is the holy grail that will help him through this, because he is emotionally connected to her. He's had this idea or fantasy towards her for quite some time, and she is that type of character that you could easily latch onto. Obviously, she's led Denji down this path so she could rip everything away from him, to get a result, to get an emotional disturbance that she could latch onto to open up the door. This chapter goes through those motions, and you see Denji with how traumatized and just scarred he is towards the whole situation. He's speechless. He doesn't know what to think. He doesn't know what to feel. And prior chapter, he was mentally exhausted. This one, he's pushed to his limits. It's almost the exact same mindset, but at two completely different sides of the spectrum. One, you feel so deep and inherently for the situation that you blame yourself for potentially, that you want to give up, that you want to emotionally not feel anything anymore. You don't want to feel mentally exhausted, so you give in favor of being controlled by Makima. In this chapter, it's almost like the complete opposite, and it's like Makima is running Denji up and down this timeline of jarring emotions that's too mentally overbearing. If you go back and reread this chapter, just look at Denji's appearance, just look at his face and how completely out of it he truly is. This is legitimately trauma at its finest. This is not finding the words to express how you feel, not understanding any sort of the situations, and even not even understanding how to feel. How do you approach situation from this when you know deep down somewhere that you were a massive portion of this cause and effect? Makima's having a great time. She is manipulating the hell out of him. And you can see how broken and twisted he's starting to become because of how fast we're going back and forth between these polarizing emotions, between these polarizing mental states. Going back to recontextualizing Denji, a big portion of that was finding out about his father and the fact that he was the one to indeed kill him as a child. This leads to a door being built, this leads to trauma, and it gives you a better understanding, a better perspective on potentially the life Denji was living before meeting Pochita with his father. It was told to us from the beginning that Denji's father died because of suicide, so finding out that the reason he did die was because Denji killed him as a child, it creates this mental infrastructure that wants to put all of it away, it wants to hide it, and this is actually a legitimate thing. It's very fantasized with the whole barrier and door thing, but you can also somewhat see it as a realistic element or a visual representation of what children or even normal people actually approach the situation with. Going through such a difficult trauma that you cannot emotionally understand or mentally deconstruct in a healthy manner, you start to confine it and build it up within a corner that you can hopefully forget about. I guess you could lean back in that physical representation of it being a door. It's extremely unhealthy, and you've seen the reason for that. Denji is extremely stunted as a character for his age, his mental capacity, his emotional vulnerability is extremely distorted. His intelligence is extremely distorted. So when we find out about this, seeing him in such a vulnerable experience in the previous chapter, and especially this one with him being extremely speechless, is a very hard-hitting thing. It's something that goes a very long way to give us a very full picture of what his character truly embodies. Obviously with Makima trying to create this normal lifestyle, giving him all of these things and then ripping it away was all for the process of opening up this door to Denji. She's trying to achieve something, and there's always been that slight teaser that whatever this door was truly hiding, other than the father situation, it always implied that there might have been something massive behind it. To put simply, a slight indication that Denji or Pochita or whatever may be behind that door is something entirely evil, is something extremely powerful. What the opening of this door potentially brings back in is a bigger question. Is Makima trying to turn Denji into something completely different? Does she know that whatever is behind this door and what could be creeping deep within it is something inherently dangerous and powerful? Only time will tell. Having all of this emotional vulnerability redirected back to Denji, thanks to Makima, making him feel guilty, making him feel disgusting, pretty much warping it with the intention of making him feel like the bad person, that this was all his fault and that he doesn't deserve anything because of the disgusting actions that he took, even though most likely he killed his father because of the lifestyle he was living. There is a multitude of situations that could be justified to allow Denji to do that. Killing his father to potentially protecting himself. They play heavily on the idea that his father was a drunk, so it's definitely a possibility. But the way Makima utilizes this is to manipulate Denji and to make him feel a specific emotion about it, to make him feel guilty. That is the biggest thing. And now that Denji has opened that door and admitted to it, he's pretty much given full emotional control to Makima. She quite literally has the ultimate control over him. There's a couple of things that potentially could disrupt that. The possibilities of power coming back in whatever way, shape or form, even though it wouldn't be the exact same power, there's always that slight opportunity that it could legitimately be a thing. A lot of people have been saying that her coming back is definitely a possibility, and I agree, but I don't think it would be utilized in the same way that she would come back as the exact same person she once was. Obviously, we don't really know the logistics of that, but time will only tell. If power were to come back, it'd either be as a different character completely that would be this tick in the back of Denji's mind that it's someone that he used to know but doesn't really understand anymore. Someone that is like a distant memory. Or Makima brings power back herself to continuously build up that emotional connection for Denji and then rip it away from him once again, which is pretty much exactly what she done. For me, this chapter was melancholic. It was sad, seeing Denji struggle to even comprehend the entirety of the situation, and then having this polarizing effect of Makima being so happy and joyous about the whole situation was just sad, to be completely honest. It has a very thick atmosphere, but it also makes me extremely excited to see where Denji goes as a character from here. What does the future hold for him? What is Makima truly trying to achieve? Or is there an element or a concept here that we are completely missing, that we don't really know about yet? So with that being said, if you have read the chapter, let me know how you feel. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Drink plenty of water, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.